is dinging 5 o'clock. Are we good or what?
Man, we're like right on time, just like those
Yeah.
Mad
UK
Tom.
Oh, Muskoka Mad Tom. Do you like that stuff?
Muskoka. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, my brother posted a picture of David Beckham up in Muskoka this week.
Ooh.
Oh.
So
that's
you're
where all
not the only star
fancy
that's up there.
Celebrities, yeah. Liz holds you right up there with David.
Well, I mean,
That's,
me,
Well,
and
he's
like
got
David
the-
Beckham.
You know, he's
like
got the
Posh
same level
Spice.
of fitness. I believe he had a physical today, and the doctor just said, "You're just like David Beckham. Like you're just so fit." Yeah,
That was his whole assessment on your medical.
yeah.
Comparable
Yeah,
to
he did.
David Beckham.
Well, yeah. Come on.
I could say bend it like Beckham, but you guys would misinterpret what I was talking about.
That was not part of the examination. Oh, you're bending it like Beckham. But
Hi,
anyway,
everybody in the chat room.
Hello,
We're having
hello.
We're having our own little yuckathon
I
here.
said, looking forward to part 2. We are 2, Aaron.
Yeah,
I
glad you
think.
could make it today, Steph.
Yeah, sorry I couldn't
Yeah.
make it yesterday. Yesterday just kind of exploded. Like
We were
so-
sort of hoping that
happens
the
sometimes.
two Nicks might join us, but they both have other things.
Well,
that
I think they have
come up.
reasonable excuses. I'm not sure about Rick's excuse. It
Yeah,
seems
well,
questionable at best.
his excuse is that he didn't take his microphone.
I know. I saw his excuse, and that's
Yeah.
a poor
And
excuse.
Well,
His
I know he.
equipment management is very deficient.
Wow.
That's
Liz
kind
said
of a
that.
personal
That's,
thing. I'm not sure.
I wouldn't know.
Cheers, Jeff.
Cheers. I'm drinking a up from the Lake Cottage country,
Exactly.
Muskoka.
Muskoka.
Muskoka Brewery.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hi, Tony. Yeah, my brother's has to go back to the cottage tomorrow to pick up a harness of poppies that I left there. So anyway,
Ah.
he's willing to do it.
I left some items up there. Sorry.
Yeah, I've got your
I
shirt.
leave
I
little
laundered my
parts.
shirt.
Little parts of my
I'll get
life
it
I leave
sent.
everywhere just so that people remember me.
Right. I'm going to drop it at a crime scene.
Or it might have something to do with the fact that I just don't have it together.
Aaron says you sound a bit louder than Liz and Steph.
Oh, me? Okay.
Yeah, we've
I
already
will-
determined that my volume is. Not
Okay, I'm
as-
gonna put mine down a little bit more. How does it sound
Steph's
now?
just tired after a busy work week, I think.
Hello.
I'm tired.
She's just a little yeah, you look a little bit fatigued
Sorry.
there.
Fatigued, yes.
Are you flying all weekend?
Tomorrow, at least, the weather on Sunday looks kind of. Bleh,
Blech.
bleh. That's the technical term for.
Oh, I know what's going on here. I think somehow you got answered in Skype on my phone, even though I thought I answered you on my computer. So
Ah,
you're probably hearing me through my phone. But anyway, don't worry about
right.
it.
But you can hear me though when I.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. I mean now you can because
Well,
you're
it's
listening to me and. Okay. Hang on. Hello. You hear me? Okay. I hear ya. Okay. This is fun, huh?
Yeah, it's great.
That's great.
So we're going to aim to do about an hour today, correct? Yes.
That
Correct.
sounds perfect
Correct,
to me.
Mundo? All right. I'll get my
Or
little
maybe just
timer.
under. Just under. I think we went a little over too
Okay.
on the first part because I couldn't get those guys to quit their
They just wouldn't
yapping.
Shut up.
They wouldn't shut up.
Shut up.
Okay, how's my volume? Is that any better, Captain
You're
Jeff? Or
loud
still loud?
to me. I don't know.
Yeah,
It hasn't changed a
Sound
lot.
even
It got
louder, actually. Yeah, I agree.
Okay, you want me to turn it up? Is that what you're saying?
11.
Definitely.
All right, hang on. So, how about now?
Yeah, that's better.
I mean, I'm down to 25 on my mic volume on StreamYard. Is it still really
No,
loud?
that's okay.
Okay.
That sounds good.
That sounds normal.
Okay.
See what they see what the chatters say.
Okay.
What say the critics?
Yeah.
So you see
Thumbs
that
up or thumbs down?
Micah's not here with us, folks, because for some reason in the last few episodes he's been having issues with the getting on the YouTube. But is anybody else having issues? I haven't changed anything.
I was on YouTube yesterday. I watched some of the show while I was dictating. I had no problem.
I've tried it out on my phone and
too.
on my
My
Mac
phone
and
worked fine.
don't have any issues.
It's a total mystery to me what's going on with him. I don't know
Yeah.
what's up. So
He needs
I don't
tech
know.
help. He should get
I
in
guess
touch
it
with.
sounds normal to me, and everyone is equalized. Thank you,
Okay.
Aaron.
All right. Thanks, Aaron, for
That's what we need.
We like equality, baby.
There we go.
Power to the people.
power.
Yep. How's that sound level?
That
That's
sounds
kind
a
of
little
soft.
quiet, yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. I almost said quiet.
Try
but then I
harder,
changed.
Jeff.
Try harder.
I am. I really am. Leave me alone. I'm trying.
I'm watching a thing on TV while we're getting ready to go here. I'm looking
Okay.
for property. We're looking for properties in Turks and Caicos. It looks pretty nice
Oh,
down there.
yeah.
I have
Oh
to
yeah,
say.
as you do. As you
Yeah.
do. Are you planning on moving? Getting a place there for the?
She's going to disappear
Yeah,
off.
wouldn't mind.
As long as it has good internet, I don't care.
Neil Landwarn, the link from Slack works. The link from APG YouTube doesn't
Yes,
work.
that's correct.
What worked for me?
Well, what's
It didn't.
that?
That did not work for me actually.
Oh, it worked
But I
for
went
me
through
too.
the link you put on
Oh
Twitter.
well, the last show. Are you talking
Part
about this
one.
show? Or
I'm talking about part one.
Part one is because I didn't set it up.
That's what I figured, and that's why I didn't say anything. I'm like, they didn't
Yeah.
set it up.
That's why it didn't work.
But
Yeah.
the link that was shared on Twitter worked just fine.
Yeah.
Well, that was
So-
because of me, so I'll take credit for that.
Sure.
It's difficult for
ahead.
Tony.
I think I've hurt his feelings now.
I don't care.
Right.
Really don't.
No, I'm sure you don't.
I really don't.
Difficult for me. I can't get in if I use the official click here key. I don't
Okay, so I'm on.
Yeah,
Airline
I know, me
Pelican.
too.
And I'm going to go
I'm not.
APG on YouTube. Okay. And then I'm going to go. Oh, see at the very top right there? I'm going to click on that where it says. Look at that.
Yeah, and you've got the chat and everything, right?
Yep.
I do. It's live chat.
Yeah.
Shall I go through that again? See right here, everybody?
Tutorial.
So when on this, I click on up at the top. And it goes right, it opens up my YouTube app.
There we go. Are you guys trying on your phones or on your laptops or what are you doing out there? What's going on?
What the hell are you doing?
Oh,
All right.
Okay. Are we ready to go?
I think so.
Yeah. Oh, so we've already done news, so we're just we got a bunch of feedback to do.
Okay.
What do you think, Steph?
Sounds great. Let's tackle some feedback.
Okay, so I can.
Are you having
I don't have to say hello or anything again, so I'll
a dancing
leave.
seizure?
Get out of here.
Hey, bye. Oh, that was a
Get out of here.
She left.
Bye. And let me hit the little red record button. And take a sip of this barley juice. My imported beer. Yep. Okay. So what did I say? I said, and soon you'll start hearing Dr. Steph. And then I'm going to play the harp sound. See? I told you you'd hear.
Yes, I'm here.
Well, I know
Can
in
you-
post, Liz. I'll put it in post. Okay, so let's do this again.
Yes. I was doing the imaginary one, so you can.
I want you to do that.
I'll do the Okay.
Okay, go ahead. Ooh, wow, that's good. You're really good at sound effects, amongst other things.
As long as it's
Dr.
not
Steph
singing.
is here. Yay!
Woo! I made
Hello.
it.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hi. What's been up with you?
Whew, I wish it was exciting things, but it's been a lot of work. I'm sorry I missed y'all for part one. I did listen in a little bit. Sounded like a good show. So happy to kind of pick up the slack here and move on with some more feedback.
Excellent. All right. Well, then we'll just do that. Was that you, Liz, or was that Poppy? Poppy's shaking. Did she go swimming or something? What's going on? Ah, okay. I just heard a dog shaking sound. Okay. Let's continue with some feedback, shall we? Number 4. And this is from Robert Robert Tucker, no, Robert N. Tucker. He used to be near the Big Chicken somewhere, but other part of town now. Anyway, he says, just making sure you all saw this update. And then he gave us a link to LufthansaGroup.com. And Lufthansa reactivates the Airbus A380. First flight's expected from summer of 2023. And sadly, too late for our friend Stephen. Yes, you're right, Liz. But I think we might have... There we go. Look at that. Look at that beautiful airplane.
It's a large airplane.
Well, at least it's a large airplane. It is, it's beautiful in its own way. It's majestic, yes. It's huge. I'm so used to hearing that. Anyway, Lufthansa is reactivating the Airbus A380 in response to the steep rise in customer demand and the delayed delivery of ordered aircraft. The airline expects to use the long-haul aircraft, which is popular with customers and crews, again from summer 2023. The company is, by the way, I didn't see Stefan in Oshkosh because I think he got there like on Friday, and I left on Friday, so we just missed like 2 ships passing in the night. Anyway, those I can tell you have notes, Liz. It's okay.
Is she shuffling her notes?
We're doing a little bit different. She's using a different microphone than she normally does.
So you're getting all the ambiance there.
I am. I'm getting.
So far, we've been going for like 3 minutes on this part 2 of episode 533, and you've heard Poppy the dog in the background shaking.
I'm a little easily distracted.
And then some shuffling of papers. So where's the squirrel? Hold on. There it is. Thanks, Liz.
Yes. Okay. I was waiting for a sound, Liz, not the picture. Okay, gotcha. Right.
So I think we were talking about the Lufthansa A380s.
We were.
Okay.
Why don't you continue with our little talk about the Lufthansa 380?
So this kind of surprised me a little bit. They're going to use it from summer of 2023, which is quite a ways from now.
It is.
We're still in summer of 2022, so we're talking like maybe 9-10 months from now.
Yeah.
That's a long time. But I mean, I suppose that, there will be some crews to train, and you have to maybe some maintenance items to look over and preparation, building schedules.
Right.
I don't know. Maybe that all takes that much time. But
well, they have 14 of them currently parked in Spain and France in deep storage. 6 of these have already been sold. Oh, so
they only have 8.
Yeah, only 8 remain now. Okay, though, a lot of us thought that once all of this deep storage happened that, we weren't probably going to ever see them flying again. But we were wrong.
Yeah, for a couple of reasons. One, I think we've, I think a lot of airlines have really moved more towards just the 777 A350 model of long-haul flying 2 engines as opposed to 4.
Yeah.
More fuel efficient, economic, still taking a lot of people. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of demand for flying out there right now, and I'm sure that's going to continue into next summer. So
yeah,
I'm happy. I mean, I'm happy to see the A380s back for however long.
All right. Tony says, I had a walk along the river Thames by Staines today.
Staines?
Okay. And was amazed how many A380s flew over from Heathrow. Okay. And as Captain Nick on part 1 had in the background, he had his good friend from Australia visiting, and he flew in on an A380. So Qantas is re-employing them and him too, which is a good thing. Yeah.
Have you ever had the pleasure of flying on an A380, riding as a passenger?
I have not. I know that you have.
I have several times.
Yeah. Well, show off. Yeah, you've even had a shower on a 380.
I have. As from a passenger perspective, it's a great airplane. It's very spacious. I mean, even it doesn't matter what class of service you're sitting in. I've done first, business, and economy, and the economy seats, especially on some of these big long haul carriers, seats are comfortable. You can. It's very easy to manage a long flight.
Cool. All right. Well, good to see it. Let's see here. Our next one is number 5 from Texas and LaShock.
All aboard, train's good, plane's bad. Woo-hoo!
Thank you.
What?
Greetings,
Is that our new
Captain.
official theme song and slogan?
I actually stole that from No Agenda podcast.
Okay,
I hope that they
okay.
don't mind. Greetings, Captain Jeff and APG crew. This has been a somewhat unusual year in that I haven't had to fly anywhere. Usually by this point I've had at least one job out of state, and there was supposed to be one, but it keeps getting punched back. For my personal travel, I usually fly out to California, but this time, for once, Amtrak was actually cheaper than the airlines, so that was the option I went with, and I thought I'd share my impressions and comparisons with flying. First off, the train was 2 hours late. We were supposed to leave out of Alpine, Texas at 10:30 a.m., but the train didn't even arrive until almost 1. That aside, it doesn't have the usual hassle of getting through airport security. Yeah, and while they do have a notice about justice. What'd you say? Oh, you're talking to Poppy again. Okay. That aside, it doesn't have the usual hassle of getting through airport security, and while they do have a notice about just to carry on items, it doesn't look like they enforce that too much, and you can bring your own food on board, a necessity for a trip that takes almost a day, and you don't want to resort to the onboard cafe. It helps that they are not as concerned with weight and don't have to worry about having everything stowed for takeoff and landing. The seats look quite similar to airline seating, but they are larger, have more space between them, and have a much wider recline. They also have a retractable leg rest to give it a little easier to lie down and get some sleep. Okay. And there are outlets everywhere for all your devices. I was traveling coach, so I didn't experience a sleeper car, and that also excluded me from the dining car. Coach passengers have to make do with what's available in the cafe on the lower deck of the lounge car. It stocks a variety of snacks and drinks, non-alcoholic and otherwise, and a number of hot items, though if you want the best choice, get there soon after a major stop when they restock everything. In that vein, in El Paso, there's a lady who apparently meets the trains as they arrive and sells burritos. They're pretty good, though they're $3 a piece and she only takes cash, but she seems to do enough business that the conductors know her by name. That's a pretty good price, I think. $3
$3 for a burrito.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd figure out how to have $3 in cash.
Yeah, absolutely.
My question is if the train actually stops or she just kind of like runs alongside and like chucks burritos at people and they like
That's it.
throw cash at her.
Yeah, it just goes flying. No, I bet they probably stop.
They have a stop in El Paso.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I hear it's a,
Well,
some small border town or something. I don't know.
yeah, when I was taking the train a couple of summers ago, we actually stopped in El Paso. Now Liz is singing in the West Texas town of El Paso. Sounds lovely, Liz. Thank you. It's not distracting. A big drawback on such a long trip, though I imagine long 12-plus hour flight. Yes, perfect.
That's for me, actually.
I did make that for you, but
know.
in this case, it applies to Liz as well. We're talking about a graphic that was just thrown up there, and I'll have to make sure that I put that up there in the chapter images for everybody to enjoy. Okay, so a big drawback on such a long trip is keeping yourself occupied. I would never have that problem.
I mean,
I'm
I can
always.
think of a lot of things to do to keep yourself occupied.
I'll bet you could. And on most domestic flights, one nap can, I don't really know what that means, sorry. One nap can take up most of the time, leaving just takeoff and landings, which are more interesting to watch. The train, this one at least, doesn't offer much to see. West Texas and southern New Mexico aren't really known for their spectacular vistas.
What are you talking about?
I know.
You
I
can see
said
for miles and miles. And
well, I'm thinking he's probably thinking it's just not really pretty to look at, but it's kind of pretty in its
pretty in a
own
stark
way.
like,
Yeah, I agree.
West Texas,
Southern New Mexico.
southern New
way.
Mexico type way.
So let's see. By the time we got to Arizona, it was dark. I mean, dark. There were absolutely no light sources at all along that stretch. So if it weren't for the constant rocking and swaying of the train, you wouldn't be able to tell we were moving at all. So make sure you have movies, games, or work you need to get done. hey, start a podcast. You'll always have work to do. Sleeping on the train is all right. If you're tired enough, you can sleep just about anywhere. But for me, the seats were a little difficult to find a comfortable position. I kept winding up with a gap between the seat and my lower back that could make it sore after a while, and I had a tendency to slide down if I didn't have my feet planted on the footrest. And through it all, we were at the mercy of Union Pacific. Amtrak does not own their own rails, except I think they do along the New York to Washington, D.C. area. So whenever one of Union Pacific's own trains was on track, and there was no way around them, we had to wait for the freight train to clear before we could go. I also noticed on my trip, this is Jeff speaking, that like the bridges and stuff like that, there's usually, you had to wait for a while, and the freight trains seemed to have priority. Yeah. Okay, back to Texas and Lashok. Overall, it was a decent trip. One day I might have to try the sleeper rooms, though that still is more than a flight in most cases. I guess he's talking about expense-wise. If given the choice, I think I will still go for flying first, but the train does make for a less hurried means of travel. I've taken some shorter trips in the past where it is great in areas where you can use it to get from one town to the next. In my case, we had to drive 2.5 hours just to get to the train station. The airport is 20 minutes away, and MAF usually doesn't have much of a security bottleneck. Anyway, what is MAF?
I have to hold on. I don't know.
Middle,
Middle of
Midland? No, she'll figure it out. Anyway, those are my thoughts.
Is
Midland, Odessa, maybe?
Midland International.
There we go.
In Midland, Texas.
Yeah, way to go, Liz. Anyway, those are, oh, okay. She wants me to do this. There you go. That's for Liz. She's easily satisfied. The airport, anyway, those are my thoughts after having experienced an overnight train ride. Wishing you all blue skies, clear blue skies. This is Texas and Lashok signing off. Okay, well, that's interesting. Talking about a train on a aviation podcast. But anyway.
Hey, sometimes it's nice to have those
Yeah, the comparison.
contrasts.
Just to make sure that we've gotten into the right, area of emphasis.
To be, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
sounds interesting. Sounds like not something I would see myself doing anytime soon, because it really just for me, it just comes down to time.
Yeah.
Right?
You don't have enough time
I
as
don't
it
have enough
is.
time to, but maybe, someday when I'm retired and would like to see a lot of the country and have time to get off the train and stay someplace and then get back on the train and
Or get off on the train.
get back on the train. There's been an interesting
so-
conversation about the train equivalent of the Mile High Club happening in the chat room. See what you're missing out if you're missing
Well,
out
how do
on
you
if
do
you're
a mile
not,
high? Is there a train that goes up like
No, just
through
the train
Denver?
equivalent of the Mile High Club.
What
right?
if you were like going through the Denver area? That's
Oh yeah,
mile
that
high.
would work. That would work.
Phil Timmer, the Knee High Club. Okay. Or just
I'm not sure
any,
if I can say I-haul boxes suggested for the name of the club.
the club where people get railed, but not nailed. Anyway, well, we're going off the tracks here. But I did do I had the sleeper car experience, and it was I think 2 nights, 3 days, and then overnight in New Orleans in a hotel, and then took the 1-day trip from New Orleans back to Atlanta. I can say that I have checked that box, and I probably will
Never do it again.
try to do that again. Just
I really, I agree with Texas and Lashak here, where it's very nice to get on the airplane, take off, take a short nap. You've arrived at your destination. It's like time travel a little bit. Unless you're
Yep.
the one flying the airplane, maybe don't take a nap.
I mean, it is cool, but yeah.
It's different.
Yeah, it's
You have to be very unhurried. You have to be enjoying probably the scenery. You probably should have a couple good books to read or friends that are on the journey with you. And you can imagine like sitting in a lounge car and,
I don't have
having
any
coffee
friends.
and chatting with your friends. And I don't know, reading a newspaper, smoking a cigar.
What?
Like big,
Reading a what?
I don't know, newspaper?
They still do those?
I don't think so.
They still have those. That's one thing I've noticed in the last few years. It used to be on all of our hotel layovers. I mean, there were newspapers
USA
out in the
Today, like,
lobby,
under the door.
like when you go off the elevator, that little area. They usually have a little table and they
with
have like a stack
newspapers.
of newspapers. Yeah, I have not seen that in quite a long time. Anyway, yeah, I think COVID did put the kibosh on it. Let's see. This is from Gary. Vietnamese pilot skills among reasons for thousands of delayed flights, according to On DUI. DUI. This is from the. What is this from? Hang on. I got it. Note info. It's from. It's from Gary Cunahan. That didn't
Excellent.
tell me. Anyway, it's from some publication. And Vietnamese pilots have occupied runways longer than needed while airplanes were not parked in order, causing thousands of delays in June, aviation authorities said. More than 5,600 flights operated by Vietnamese airlines were delayed last month, accounting for 18.2% of total services operated by the country's 6 carriers, according to the Civil Aviation Authority of Vietnam, CAAV. The figure was up 15.9% year on year and up 9.4% from last month. Low-cost carrier Vietjet Air had the industry's highest rate of flight delays at 24%, followed by Vietnam Airlines with 20.1%. In most cases, flights were delayed at Tan Son Nhat International Airport in Ho Chi Minh City. Thank you. Ho Minh, right. Nailed it. Ho Minh Tan, deputy head of CAAV, said the issue of delayed flights at Tan Son Nhat is quite serious, as he attended a Wednesday meeting on the matter. He said, apart from overloaded infrastructure, the arrangement of parked aircraft is not reasonable, as planes that take off first are located far from the runway, while those departing later are placed closer.
Is he just talking about Charlotte?
I think he might be. Yeah. They're very similar, I think. There were cases in which a plane spent as long as 15 to 20 minutes only to move from the parking lot to the runway. Well, 15 to 20 minutes is not that
what is the airplane doing in the parking lot?
I don't know. That might be part of the problem. But here's the gist of the reason why I think Gary sent this in. Bui Tan Ha, head of the Air Traffic Control Department of Southern Region Air Traffic Service, said another reason for this issue is pilot skills. In the latest survey conducted,
how like air traffic control to blame the pilots for these delays.
I know,
isn't it? Jeez.
Right? In the latest survey conducted at the airport of Singapore, Airlines plane left the runway in 60 seconds after landing, while Vietnamese pilots needed nearly 70 seconds. That's like 10 seconds longer. During takeoff, air traffic controllers have to calculate to save every second through Vietnamese pilot, though Vietnamese pilots still spend 10 to 15 seconds on average to start running. It's clear that our pilots do not have an awareness of saving time, said Din Viet Sun, another CAAV deputy head, said if there were heavy downpours at the airport and airplanes cannot land, air traffic controllers should decide not to let airplanes designated to land at Tan Son Nhat depart. Yeah, because in that case, there's no room for the airplanes that are land. I guess they don't have any excess capacity or whatever.
It sounds like it's like perhaps the airport is kind of locked in by surrounding community stuff happening, city, and probably not a lot of room for expansion. So they're just working with what they got.
Yeah. And so, as a pilot, you don't want to be rushed, because anytime you try to do things a lot faster and shave off those extra 10 seconds could be a time where you kind of miss something that's important. So, pardon
I
me,
agree.
Liz? You've noticed that when I've been doing the podcast. No, I don't do rush well. You're right. You're right. So don't rush me. All right. Anything else to say, Steph, on that?
I
Okay.
I don't know. It just sounds like more issues than it sounds, as we would say in medicine, multifactorial. Lots of things happening. And I don't think it's just the piloting skills, and I don't think it's the air traffic control fault. I think it's the space issue. It sounds
The
like.
asphalt.
And it's the asphalt. Yeah.
Yes.
I agree with Neil. You deserve an Emmy for getting through that article, and I commend you on your Vietnamese skills. I didn't know you were so skilled in the language.
It's I've spent a lot of time there. No, I don't think I've ever been to Vietnam. That's one of those places in Asia I have not been. Yeah, but I could drive the RV. Wait a minute, I could put the RV on a container ship and have it shipped over there and then drive around. Nah, I probably won't do that. Okay, let's move on to Larry Gregory, the geezer in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And he said, Tug? I don't need no stinking tug. And we're going to play a little video here of practice that American Airlines and other airlines used when flying the glorious Mad Dog. Here we go. Sitting at the gate at Dallas-Fort Worth International. And, oh, look, the reversers are popping out. And...
Beep, beep.
Ah, that's good.
Beep.
Liz was doing the same exact thing, Steph.
Great minds, Liz.
Yeah.
Great minds.
Well, I don't know if I'd say that, go that far. But look at that. So it's backing up. I know this is fascinating for the audio-only podcast. But we do have a link for you to watch the power back of the MD-82 or whatever it is, backing up from the gate.
They're Super 80s.
Yeah, the Super 80.
Yeah.
It's Whisper Jet. I said Whisper Jet.
Well, now it's quiet. Now that it's
now it is,
reversing.
Yeah.
I'm
Anyway.
curious, how are they just? There's like no marshallers or anything, no wing walkers. It's like just go for it, just back up and hope you don't run somebody over.
They'll get out of the way.
Surely they can't see.
Well, I'm thinking that maybe they're there somewhere and we just didn't see them.
I saw nobody.
Yeah, maybe it's just not a wide enough angle. No, they have to have marshallers out there clearing. You think? Maybe not. I don't know. We're a bunch of cowboys.
Back in the 80s.
Especially in Dallas-Fort Worth. Those darn cowboys. Anyway, it's always a fun thing to watch power backs, and I know that I've mentioned this, but hey, if you might be new and not heard me say this before, but I usually have issues with getting involved in bending metal when I'm backing up, like in automobiles. And my lovely former wife asked very, very politely, honey, I said, yeah. She said, do you have to back up the airplane? And I said, no. She goes, oh, good.
Some honest feedback there.
Yeah,
your
no.
Critique of your driving skills.
If I had flown for American Airlines, back in the 90s, I probably
Av Herald archive.
Yeah, I would be
story to read about you.
Yes, I'm sure of it. Anyway, so there you go. Thank you, Larry, for that, and let's move on to Robert again in Tucker, Georgia. Let's see here. Usually, when I watch one of these air disasters episodes, I search for online details of these events. Oh, the title is Salvaged Airframe Parts Allegedly Led to Haunted Future Flights. Yeah, I should have read that to begin with. And then I could have gone like this. Okay, you get the picture. Usually when I watch one of these air disasters episodes, I search for online details of these events. This particular story jumped out at me without a phantom dead pilot, by the way. So I thought I would share with our phantom pilot's not dead yet.
I'm not dead yet.
So I thought I would share with the still alive crew in case you all had not seen this. Over the following months and years, stories began circulating that employees of Eastern Airlines and numerous passengers had reported sightings of the dead crew members, Captain Robert Loft and the second officer, flight engineer Donald Repo, sitting on board other L-1011s, including, in particular, November 318 Echo Alpha for Eastern Airlines. These stories speculated that parts of the crashed aircraft were salvaged after the investigation and refitted into other L-1011s. The reported hauntings were said to be seen only on the planes that used those spare parts. Gossip regarding the sighting of the spirits of Don Repo and Bob Loft spread throughout Eastern Airlines to the point where Eastern's management warned employees that they could face dismissal if they were caught spreading ghost stories. While Eastern Airlines publicly denied their planes were haunted, they reportedly removed all the salvaged parts from their L-1011 fleet. Over time.
Take no chances, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's absolutely not happening. Let's
No.
go ahead and remove all of those.
Come on.
parts, please.
Yeah. Yeah, you're all going to hear Liz just say, who are you going to call? Ghostbusters. Okay, over time, the reporting of ghost sightings stopped. An original floorboard from Flight 401 remains in the archives at History Miami in South Florida. Pieces of Flight 401's wreckage can also be found in Ed and Lorraine Warren's Occult Museum in Monroe, Connecticut. Yeah, I do need to go there in my RV, Liz. You're right. Anyway,
Ed and
that is
Lorraine
interesting.
Warren's Occult Museum? Or
Yeah.
the History of Miami?
Both.
Yes,
Both of them.
both of them.
Yeah. Anyway, the Flight 401, you all probably remember, was the one that crashed in the Everglades, right?
Well, they
So-
were troubleshooting a
Yeah.
gear light that was out.
A light bulb.
Light bulb. Yeah.
Yeah, not a good outcome there. Okay, thank you, Robert. I had not seen that, and that was an interesting story. Speaking of interesting, we need to play this.
We're going green.
We're going green.
We're gonna take care of the earth. We're going green.
Yeah. Hi, crew. I was recently poking around aviation. Okay, that's enough.
We're going green.
Okay, thank you.
We're going.
I wish I wouldn't poke so much. It's
Yeah, well, I don't
Slightly
know.
uncomfortable.
Sometimes poking
Okay.
is fine. I was recently poking around aviation news articles online and found this piece. Rather interesting, I'd say. It almost seems like a solution that engineers should have figured out a long time ago, given how logical it is. I think there's some sarcasm I should be using in the way I'm explaining or reading this. I'm definitely glad that a major airline has decided to adopt such technology nonetheless. Just wanted to hear your opinions and thoughts on E-Jet fuel. I will point out, though, that this current name they've dubbed might interestingly run into copyright issues with Embraer's E-Jet family trademark. Keep up the lovely, entertaining shows each week. Josh from SoCal. He said, brown skies and wind shear. Shoot, I keep on messing that up. I'm sorry, what? What a bunch of Egypts. I get it. You're such an Egypt. E-Jet, it is, Liz. Okay, so here's the interesting article from Alaska Airlines News. Alaska Airlines, Microsoft, and 12 partner. No, Alaska Airlines, Microsoft, and 12 partner to advance new form of sustainable aviation fuel. Now, I know it's kind of hard to see on the screen there, but again, check out the show notes and you can get a little bit closer view of this this graphic regarding E-Jet fuel. So aviation is all about journeys to visit family, great adventures, to do business. At Alaska, we're also on a journey to improve our impact on the environment. And we've set ambitious goals to measure our progress with a long-term target of zero carbon emissions by 2040. But we know we can't do it alone. Succeeding in this journey requires new solutions and great partners. Today, they're excited to kick off a new partnership they have with Microsoft and 12, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so what is this all about? They talk about sustainable aircraft fuel and...
So basically they're recapturing carbon dioxide somehow and turning that into fuel.
Yeah, so that's the part that they really don't go into a lot of detail.
It's all, we recapture the carbon dioxide and poof, fuel. Magic.
Okay. Yeah, but how do they do that?
Well, I'm sure they're not going to say it because they're going to patent it and trademark it and copyright it and sell it for lots of money, probably.
Maybe it's like one of those machines that the Ghostbusters used.
So, let's see.
Maybe? I don't know.
Our core technology is an electrochemical reactor with a proprietary catalyst that electrifies CO2 and transforms it into new products. Our technology uses CO2 captured from the air and, using only water and renewable electricity, wonder what the renewable electricity is. Transforms that coal powered, yes. Transforms that CO2 into carbon monoxide and hydrogen, which we use to produce carbon neutral jet fuel.
Yeah, I wonder how much of the sustainable electrical energy
Renewable
they
electricity.
have. Renewable electricity.
They were very vague on what they're.
How much do they
renewable.
have to use to make this work? That's what I'd be interested to find out.
Yeah.
Anyway, well,
Hey, I welcome the
yeah,
you know,
I
the
hope it
attempts
works.
and the ingenuity, and let's
Yeah.
keep working on these things because surely we're smart enough to do better
yeah.
as a species. Not me personally.
Well, you could do better too, Steph. Okay, let's. Just kidding. No way. Nobody does it better than you. We got some feedback from Mariano regarding American Airlines' multiple failures discussed on episode 529. So he sent us two audio things, so I'm going to play one right after the other. And so here we go. Mariano, and where would you think he'd be, coming in from?
Somewhere in South America
You think so? Yeah.
or Spain.
Well, let's
South
listen.
America.
Hey guys, it's Captain Mariano here from the UK.
Or the UK.
Giving you some feedback on APG 529, specifically the American Airlines multiple failures on the Airbus 321.
Oh, yeah.
I fly the Airbus 320 and I'm an instructor in a simulator for a big conglomerate here. And when I heard your show and I saw the failures they had, immediately I thought about double flaps control computer failure. So when we have that in the 320, it's a few things that happen. The first one is that the flaps or slats lock, and then you lose characteristic speeds because the aircraft doesn't know what configuration it's in. So you lose the VMO, you lose the lower end of the speed scale as well because the aircraft is not able to display correctly. However, you don't lose the actual speed. It's not an air data issue. It's just a limitations display issue that we get with that fault. It is quite difficult because we end up having to hand fly the airplane. We lose autopilot, we lose auto thrust, we lose the flight directors, and it's very, very challenging.
Especially for Airbus pilots.
So if I was a betting man,
say
I
that.
would say that that's what that American Airlines flight suffered from. Double slats, flaps, control computer fault. And in a blink of an eye, you lose the autopilot, the auto thrust, flight directors, your airspeed display loses all the characteristics, airspeeds, all the limitations, they're all gone. It can be very, very, very confusing when it happens. And also your flaps and slats lock as well. So that also makes it a bad day for you. We'll have to wait for the final report to corroborate whether that's exactly what happened, but if it really does sound like that. Anyway, thank you guys. Thank you for the show. And listen every week. Keep the blue side up. And headwinds for all your landings, tailwinds for all your crews.
Perfect, Mariano. And so nice to have people listening that actually know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
Knows the planes. And the instructor over there for the I did. I played both of them. It was seamless, Liz, wasn't it? Yeah. But anyway, so that's thank you for the clarification. So that would be disorienting, but at least you still have your airspeed. It just you don't have all those little bugs that show you all the important speeds and such.
And it's a lot that changes all at once. It sounds like just all of a sudden,
Yeah.
So you have to think through what's happened.
Does Phil Timmer thinks he's a funny guy or something? Blue side down in Jeff's case.
I just
It's
think
not
you're an
funny.
aerobatic pilot.
Oh, okay. Well, then that sounds like a compliment. Thank you, Phil. All right. And thank you, Mariano, for taking the time to do those recordings. And would love to hear from you again to help us with these things on airplanes that we don't really know much about. All right. Yes, Captain Nick, thinks knows what he's talking about, but he doesn't anymore.
He is a font of information, but
He is a font for sure.
when it comes to He hasn't flown that particular airplane. So
No, he hasn't. No,
we'll cut him a little slack there.
now, Nick, Captain Nick, if you're listening, I'm just kidding. I love you, man. I do. I really do.
Phil on the retreat there.
Oh, the Acme livery. Oh, okay. All right, I'll cut you some slack then, Philip. Thank you. So Larry, the geezer from Tulsa, Oklahoma, is back. Hey, you know what? I think I might actually have a layover in Tulsa next month.
Nice.
I'll call you. Anyway, let's see. Why don't you throw up this? Throw up. I have no idea how this photo leaked out, and so it's the display screen of a flight management system computer, or ACARS actually, I think in this case, and it's let's see, an ACARS free text to dispatch the chemtrail mix, mind control select, population control select, mass sterilization select. So I guess you can select whichever kind of mix you want when you put the chemtrails out there. Mm-hmm. That's
depends. I guess it depends on where you're flying. What the real problem for that particular area is.
Right.
If it's an overpopulation problem, you've got a couple things there to do that. If it's a free thinkers problem, I'd select that first one.
Huh. Okay. Yeah. So population control, I guess, would be like instant death, and then mass sterilization would be just eventual future extinction.
Exactly.
Okay. Gotcha.
It's a quick, event, or a kind of a slow linger.
Yeah. I kind of like those slow lingers myself. All right. Phil is in Atlanta for training. Cool. Maybe we can get together if you're not busy, Philip. All righty. Let's continue on with Moshe. I saw this guy at Oshkosh during the live show.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, his whole family from Israel. Wow. Anyway,
cool.
Multiple pilots on the flight deck. Dear Captains Jeff and Nick and everybody else, I love your show and always appreciate all the blood, sweat, and tears you put into making each episode. That being said, for the first time ever, I must disagree with something I heard on the show. On a recent episode, you claimed that Liz, would you make sure that he's on the blocked list? Okay, thank you. On a recent episode, you claimed that having 3 or 4 pilots on the flight deck will always result in a better outcome in case of an emergency. You may be surprised to learn that this may have inadvertently reduced the APG accuracy rating to below 50%. And I'll explain why. Here. Oh, there it is. It's up on the screen. Below 50%. The fact is, in today's cockpits, today's cockpits are designed to be operated by 2 pilots, and that is how crews are trained to operate. Okay, I agree. The very presence of extra flight crew members on the flight deck can actually reduce the level of safety for a number of reasons. Extra pilots are a distraction. They can distract the operating crew from speaking either with them or amongst themselves, or by unnecessarily commenting on the operation of the flight. I agree. Most airlines have no standard operating procedures, or CRM, crew resource management guidelines, in place for more than 2 pilots. Asking additional crew members to operate radios or other systems is essentially going into uncharted territory, as the crew have not been trained to coordinate such activities amongst themselves. Operating in a different manner than you're used to and how you've practiced in the simulator is usually not a good idea. Okay. Having extra pilots on the flight deck introduces a whole slew of psychological effects on the operating crew, which absolutely affect their performance. Studies show that a crew member will usually perform better in the presence of an observer or supervisor if the operation's normal. However, there will be a degradation of performance when the pilots are required to handle abnormal or emergency situations with other pilots watching them. Another bias faced by the operating crew is that of social loafing or complacency. The pilots at the controls may let down their guard and become less vigilant. Since with so many qualified professionals in the cockpit, surely somebody is sure to notice something out of the ordinary. He said, there's much more to say about this subject, and I encourage you to read a fascinating article about it in the Practical Aviation website, practicalaviation.com/AFCM. Just a disclaimer, I did have the honor of participating in writing this article. But don't take my word for it. I assure you that the other authors are smarter than me and know what they're talking about. Finally, I'm planning on bringing my family to Oshkosh next week. Of course, yeah, we received this before Oshkosh. God willing and non-rev permitting, and very much hope we can meet in person and get some free APG t-shirts. See you there, Moshe from Israel. And he did, I think. We had the t-shirts on the back of the chairs for people to grab, so I'm hoping that he and his family got some of those shirts. And it was nice seeing him and the fam in Oshkosh, and didn't get a chance to really spend a lot of time talking with Moshe, especially about this. But both Captain Nick and I did answer or reply to his feedback privately, and I see the points made there. I think for me, I'm not sure about Nick, because I think that for Nick, I'm never sure about Nick. But I was kind of thinking in my anecdotal experience of flying two airplanes in my career that were designed for 3 pilot or crew members up there. In the case of Acme, most of the time the flight engineers on the L-1011 and the 727 were also rated pilots. Not always, but usually. But 3 crew members in the cockpit. And when we went from 3 to 2, I was always thinking that it felt like it was a safer operation with having, an extra set of eyes and ears and another brain to help the situation. But I see the argument against, having tried somebody help you out with the radios or a PA or coordinating something with the company while you're going through an abnormal situation.
So I guess looking at a couple different ways though. So in that situation, that's at the time required crew members. Mm-hmm. So, the aircraft required the flight engineer. Mm-hmm. So right. your training, things that you were doing in the simulator all had that person there. The way your CRM and your flows were set up were to include that third person, even though at some point you went down to 2 people. So in that sense, probably, maybe not safer, but an equally safe situation in terms of how things are going to proceed in the event of an emergency. There are certainly instances out there where I can think of where adding a third person into an abnormal, highly unusual, catastrophic situation because of their particular expertise had been helpful. I'm thinking of United, Sioux City, 233?
Or 232?
232.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Where they, was he a training captain?
I think. I think he was a training department instructor. He happened to be in the back, and they brought him up and was able to just basically work the power for them while they were able to do different troubleshooting things and flying the aircraft and dealing with all the issues there. That's a very unusual situation. But in that case, though, he was qualified.
So I think we're still talking about qualified people to be there. We're talking about, say it's someone, someone on your jump seat who flies the aircraft that you fly, an extra person there. Mm-hmm. But you're not used to having that third person there to go through abnormal situations with you. So in that case, is it more of a distraction? I'm not sure. I think it probably depends on who's there,
Yeah.
I think in some cases you could very well make the point that it is, and in other cases it might very much be a benefit. Depends on the nature of the abnormal situation, depends on the personalities of the people involved.
Exactly. And it also has a lot to do with the way the commander or captain manages all the resources in the cockpit. But I can see the pitfalls as well. And I absolutely believe that having an extra crew member in the cockpit can be, and usually is, somewhat of a distraction. So
it can definitely be, and anyone who's a private pilot out there, flies GA aircraft, knows the distraction of having someone sitting up front with you who's not a rated pilot, or who maybe is, but is, quite a chatty person and can easily distract you from what you're doing. But if you're the pilot in command, you need to set the expectations for how the flight goes. That starts from the point of getting that person in the airplane, showing them how everything works, what they need to do, seatbelt operation. If I have someone riding in the right seat with me while I'm flying, it's a very standard brief to them in terms of what the expectations are, all the way from, if we're going to start the engine and the engine shutdown, as to even when they can exit the aircraft. But once we're in the air, and I do tell people sitting in the right seat flying with me that if they see something that they're not sure about, to please speak up, whether it's another airplane in the sky that I haven't said anything about, whether it's, if they can see a giant flock of birds or something that they're not sure I saw, please let me know about that. If there's something that pops up, an indicator light, don't freak out, don't touch anything, but just say, hey, what's that?
Yeah.
You can draw my attention to things. I don't have an ego about it.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. I always brief that. So, hey, you're part of the crew. I don't, not really, but
not formally, but
if you see something, say something. If don't be
don't
afraid
be
to say
idle
something
if something
because you
doesn't seem
think,
right.
oh, I'm just an idiot because I don't really fly this airplane. So they must have everything under control, or they must see that flashing light over there, or whatever. Just help, or as you said, birds, flock of birds. That they may see because of their position in the looking at the windscreen that we may not. That sort of thing is helpful, but and iHaul Boxes makes a really good point here. On the jump seat, it's mostly better to shut up, unless for safety you need to speak up, and that is always my the way I behave as well, because I'm thinking I don't want to be a distraction. I don't want to just be yakking about all this stuff that could be could
So
be
this
an
is also
issue.
setting expectations too. If I'm thinking more for GA pilots, if you set the expectation like, hey, I'm going to give you plenty of time to talk and ask questions and do things, but please don't say anything until I tell you to, unless you think it's a safety concern or it's something that I may not have noticed, because I'm going to be busy on takeoff. I might have to talk to a controller. I'm going to be busy on approach and landing. Those are not the times to have idle conversation. I'll let you know when it's a good time, not to be rude about it, but there's good times to talk and not so good times to talk.
I can't tell you how many times I've been with Steph in real life, and she says, Jeff, I don't want
shut
you
up."
to talk unless I, ask you to say something. I said, yes, ma'am. Yeah.
This Phyllis has an interesting point about flying jumpers. Oh, go ahead.
Neil Lamworm says, I'm imagining the two old guys from the Muppets commenting from the back. Awful! Rubbish! Get your license from a cornflakes box? Sorry, it's hard for me to read that because it's such a tiny little window I'm looking at. I think I got that right. All right. Very funny. No, actually, it was very
Phil
funny.
said something about flying jumpers. I'm going to respond to real
Okay.
quick because I can speak to that. It said, when I used to fly jumpers, the nervous ones would always reach for the right control column and or throttle quadrant. One time I relented and let a jumper hold on to the carb head knob. So occasionally we do have jumpers sitting in the right seat, depending on loading of the aircraft, or sometimes if we have bulkier passengers, like a lot of wingsuiters or something, we need extra space in the back, so someone will sit in the right seat. Our local community of jumpers is pretty well briefed on what to do and not to do inside the airplane. But again, if you have someone sitting up front, you have 30 seconds before you take off. Take the time to brief them on expectations. So, hey, these are not things for you to touch. If you see something that you're not sure about, please speak up and let me know. I'll address it, and we'll make sure that everything is safe.
I can't tell you how many times she said that to me, too.
Please don't touch.
Yeah. Don't touch.
No touching.
All right. Let's see. Well, thank you, Moshe from Israel, for the feedback. And thank you, Steph, for your perspective. It's always an interesting thing, I think. Robert. Wow. Robert is just like killing
He's
it
like-
on this show.
Yeah. Floodgates
That's like-
are open for feedback from Robert.
I think but these have been over time, though. He's probably spaced these out nice.
He's
and
probably given up on sending us feedback at this point because he
right.
figured that we were never going to get
He's
to
probably
these.
not even listening to the show anymore. Yeah, I guess they don't like my feedback. I think the crew has covered some of the newer supersonic plane development projects, but not sure if you mentioned this back in the 60s. We weren't doing the podcast in the 60s, Robert, so no, we did not mention it.
I wasn't even alive in the 60s.
I was. Liz and I were. Okay, Oklahoma City's population was perceived to be relatively tolerant of such an experiment, as it had an economic dependency on the nearby Mike Monroney Aeronautical Center and Tinker Air Force Base. We're talking about Oklahoma City sonic boom tests. In fact, the local Chamber of Commerce threw a celebratory dinner when Oklahoma was selected. However, in the first 14 weeks, 147 windows in the city's two tallest buildings, the First National Bank and Liberty National Bank, were broken. And then he has a link to a Wikipedia article about the Oklahoma City sonic boom tests. And they called this also known as Operation Bongo 2, reference to refer to a controversial experiment organized by the FAA, in which 1,253 sonic booms were generated over Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, over a period of 6 months, starting in February 1964. The experiment was intended to quantify the effects of transcontinental supersonic transport aircraft on a city, to measure the boom's effect on structures and public attitude, and to develop standards for boom prediction and insurance data. Anyway, the article goes on to talk about how they conducted the tests and how strong the booms were. I guess they had a way of controlling that. They started off kind of with light sonic booms, and then they got stronger and stronger. And as we mentioned, or as he mentioned in his feedback, in the first 14 weeks, 147 windows in the city's two tallest buildings were broken. And then, basically, the citizens of Oklahoma City started to lose their patience, and they were complaining to the FAA.
So much for being tolerant of such
Yeah,
an
they were
operation.
tolerant at first. But I think the thing that was hardest for them to deal with was the fact that they'd send these complaints to the FAA, and the FAA would go, well, yeah, no, that doesn't qualify for insurance replacement or whatever. Go get a life. Like they were not very responsive. And
147 windows later.
Yeah. They let's see, about 3% of the population telephoned, sued, or wrote protest letters. But Oklahoma City surgeons and hospitals filed no complaints. However, with the city population at 500,000, that 3% figure represented 15,000 upset individuals. There were 9,594 complaints of damage to buildings, 4,629 formal damage claims, and 229 claims, for a total of $12,800,000. That's only $12,845.32.
Hold on.
Yeah,
I'm not sure but that's
in the 60s,
1960s dollars.
Today that would be like $1 billion, I think.
Probably.
No, maybe not. Maybe not that much. What is I-Haul Box's not okay city? Good point.
That's cute.
Normally it's okay city, but in this case, not okay. Yeah. Anyway, so here it is. The FAA's cavalier manner of dismissing claims, and began demanding frequent reports from the. Anyway, so they finally squashed the project and said, "Okay, that's enough. We've bothered these people way too much." And interestingly, the negative publicity associated with the test partially influenced the 1971 cancellation of the Boeing 2707 project, and led to the United States' complete withdrawal from SST design. Did not know that. I'd never heard of these tests, actually.
Not familiar. I am now.
Yeah. I think that's a great idea, Liz. We're going to end with, is it the next one here? Yes. Okay, we're going to end the show with feedback.
on a medical
15. Yes, it's we get your medical expertise here, Dr. Steph, because you're used to dealing with, what do you call these things?
X-rays.
X-rays, thank you. Anyway, Texas Charlie writes, finally, real evidence. After millions of dollars spent and years of research, biomedical scientists have finally found solid evidence that airline pilot guy syndrome is a real neurological disorder. Please wear your mask while listening to the show and take zinc for immune system support. And again, well, if
I'm
you're
going to stick to the go around of Cillin. I think that's the
think so?
recommended treatment.
okay, well, there's
36 easy daily doses.
Yes.
And some stomach cramps.
we were displaying an X-ray, a photo of an X-ray of somebody's brain, and yes, definitely clear evidence of APG syndrome. And I think
That cervical spine looks pretty good, actually.
does it?
Yeah.
So what do you look for there? Nice, evenly spaced, and nice gaps
even
and that kind of
spacing,
thing.
and it's not exactly a true lateral view. So, but for what I can see there, it looks pretty good. I can see even spacing, good spacing in between the actual vertebrae where the discs sit, and their joints don't appear to have a lot of bony overgrowth or arthritis changes. Alignment is reasonable, a little straight.
I was thinking the same thing.
They've had some dental work done, but other than
Liz seems to think that that the neck is kind of a long neck, or is that what it normally looks
no,
like?
that's what it looks like. And I can only see 6 cervical vertebrae there, as opposed to all 7.
Oh,
But that's just
Okay.
because it's cropped off at the bottom.
oh, Liz thinks it might have something to do with the weight of the aircraft in the brain.
I think so, actually. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's weighing the neck down into the shoulders, and you can't see the.
Well, talking about weighing,
See something.
I'm sure that we're weighing on people's patience that are listening to the show. But hey, we have some relief for you. We're going to stop, and we're going to we're going to talk to you about something that we never do. Well, no, we actually do talk about it every week, and we're going to point you over to the Airline Pilot Guy website, airlinepilotguy.com. And you know the spiel. We have information about Nick Camacho sent a bio that I haven't gotten around to putting on the website yet, but
sometime
eventually,
in 2023.
yeah, probably before I retire, maybe if I have time, we'll get that updated. Yeah, yeah. Thank you, Liz. And other stuff there. So just check out airlinepilotguy.com. It'll be a surprise. You can find all kinds of cool stuff there. We are also on social media, and Steph is going to tell you about that.
I will. You can point your browser or your smartphone app to Facebook. We're facebook.com/airlinepilotguy. Also on Twitter, we're at APG Crew, and I think all of our individual Twitter handles are pinned to the top of the page. Not sure about Nixie's. Maybe.
I think maybe, probably, or
I'll have
not.
to double check that.
Yeah.
And also on Instagram, we're APG Crew. And if you really want to be involved with the community, take a deep dive, you can check out Slack. And Hillel, I think, is in Jeff's bathroom, as always, to
He always seems to be. So let me
let us know about it.
turn up the fader. Yeah, there we go. Hey, Hillel, can you tell us about Slack?
Okay, but I'm dripping wet.
That's okay. We're used to it by now. And let's hear what you have to say about it.
APG listeners, please join us on our Slack team. Slack is a communication, coordination, and sharing platform that works on your mobile, laptop, or browser. On Slack, we share news and ideas. We suggest episode and Plain Tales topics. We plan events and meetups. To get into the Slack team, please email me at slack@airlinepilotguy.com. That's SLACK, Sierra Lima Alpha Charlie Kilo @airlinepilotguy.com. Or send me a tweet with your preferred email address to @Hillel, and I'll send you an invitation. That's Hillel, spelled Hotel India 11 Echo 1, and see you in Slack.
All right. Thanks, Hillel. I appreciate it.
Woohoo! Free soap!
All right. Well, those
You're going to
little
have to have
things.
some more soap, I suppose.
Yeah, I have a big
Jeez.
box of free soap
just
there
took all
on
of
the
it.
floor. Yeah. Leave me some, please. I need it. All right. And of course, we want to thank, she's joined us again in the video here. There is our producer, Liz. Thank you very much for all the hard work.
Thanks, guys.
So
Always a
great to
pleasure.
have you back.
Good to be back, though, kinda.
Well, okay, don't go into detail. And with that, we're going to tell you, wishing you clear skies, unlimited visibility, and talons, Douglas.
Cheers, y'all.
Bye, everybody.
I wouldn't go in there for a while, Captain.
Good advice.
Yeah.
All right. We did
Turn
it.
off your recorder.
Whew.
Turn off my
I
recorder.
never turned mine on, so
Here we go. I think
seemed
it was
like
good.
It was okay.
Yeah, it was good.
Okay.
No need to. Yeah.
That was great.
Actually,
Steph.
mine's
Glad
been
you
running
could
for
join
about
us.
14 years now. Just continuously.
You have an incredibly large hard drive, apparently.
Yes.
If I had
Thank
a
you-
dollar
thank you
for
for
every
noticing.
time I've heard that.
Thank you for noticing.
Incredibly large
Hard
Hard
drive.
Yeah.
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 That was good.
It was
Glad you
enjoyable.
could come.
Yeah, that was fun. That's kind of fun to do a little short
Just a
segment
short,
like
you know.
that. Yeah,
Well, you like those short hop flights, you know. You like,
I do. I like those short hop flights.
yeah.
There we go. Right. Let's see.
Well,
what do
have
we
a
have
good
here?
weekend, everybody.
Hello,
Yeah,
everybody in the
enjoy your
chat
weekend.
room. If I didn't have a chance to say hello, Main Man Micah looks like he figured it
got
out.
here. For the
He made it
very
in
end.
the end, whatever that means. He made
Well-
it.
He made it
to the end. To the end. Oh.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
different.
Yeah.
He got here at 5:59 p.m. Eastern, so that was
Oh, not long ago.
Yeah.
very
Well,
long ago.
Yeah.
Thanks for
save the best for last there.
That's right.
That's right. That's right. Gina, nice to see you. Calabrese. Brese. I'm probably pronouncing that
Well, that sounds
incorrectly.
pretty good, actually. That sounds
Yeah. So, and all the regulars there. I haul boxes, and Neil, and
Yeah.
Aaron, and everybody else. Mike Kuipers. What do we got here?
Neil.
good. Yeah.
Next APG is about six half-hour episodes spread throughout the day.
Yes.
That'd be an editing challenge there, Jess.
Yeah, that might be a little bit difficult.
Oh, Micah thinks your mic is a little hot.
Thank you.
Yeah, a little too late, Micah.
No,
Darn
we,
it.
we knew that actually from the start, but this is
But
actually
I-
much better.
Oh, okay, so I
was.
probably should.
Better
I
than
coulda
it
gone,
was.
I could have gone down even further then. with the volume on the mic.
The innuendos just keep
Oh,
coming.
they never stop.
Is that
No, never.
has that changed anything at all? Is that
The innuendos.
yeah
Now you're very, very
You're very quiet.
too low?
quiet.
Yeah.
How
low can you go?
Can you go? How
Yeah.
about now?
That's
now,
good.
now,
That's
now.
good.
Okay, sorry about that.
He'll fix it in post.
Yeah, I
You
mean
will.
it'll
It'll
sound
sound-
fine on the audio. Just won't sound great on the YouTube video.
Bye,
Oh,
I thought
Andrew.
it sounded fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
I do too.
All right. Well, I'm still trying to. I've only been doing this for 13 years, so I'm still trying to figure it out. Sorry.
He's still a newbie.
Yeah.
Yeah, were there show title suggestions from part one?
Yeah,
have
I
no idea.
think that
Yeah,
Nick
we had one.
Nick already settled on one. We
decided
didn't
on
really have
something.
anything.
No,
Show
the only one I
title
got
here.
was Trains Good, Planes Bad, but
Yeah.
or Not Okay City.
Oh, I like
Not
Not
okay.
Okay City.
I do like
Yeah,
that one.
that's a good
Oh, we
one.
talked about like being behind the airplane.
Yes,
isn't that
that's
what
the one we said.
We came up with.
Just hanging on. I'm just hanging on.
Yeah.
Staying ahead of the airplane, but this guy got way behind.
Way behind. This whole crew got way behind the Thai Airways.
Oh yeah,
They got all tied up.
all tied up.
Oh, bam. Yeah, let's see if I can find it. No, it takes me forever. But
Yeah, let's see.
There we go.
That's good, Jeff. Oh, baby.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah, I know.
Wow. All
Okay.
right, everybody. Let's end this broadcast here.
Yeah, we'll let you go
All
and
right.
get on with your Friday night partying.
Have a good weekend.
Friday
Yeah,
Night
have a great-
Lights.
Don't do anything that we wouldn't do.
Yeah, that'll
Exactly.
be pretty boring.
Yeah, true.
All right.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.